Okay, whenever you're ready, Mr. Cameraman. Is this my good side?
Techie.
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 I like those frames. Those are fun frames.
Vera Bradley.
They're fun. I have a Vera Bradley one too.
Yeah. Because let me tell you, this is really tiny.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, ready? Okay. It's 6 o'clock. I'm calling to order the Finance Committee meeting. No one is here for public comment, so we're going to move on to the 2022-2023 school budget. Everybody has a copy of it? All right.
So in general, you have to post it obviously for 30 days. We will again post it online, and Marla's actually looking up right now. We'll post it in the paper that it's available online in the district office, and then you would have a special board meeting at the end of September to make sure that you have a formalized board hearing everything. At that September special board meetings, when I'll do the fancy little PowerPoint to kind of give you the nuts and bolts of it all. But I did provide you a breakdown of what we're looking at this year. Again, I would say be careful looking at expenditures, simply because, as you know, there's $4.5 million in projects that were approved last year, and even though they were approved last year, they're in this year's budget because that's when we paid them. So of that $21 million expenditure that we currently have, of that, $4 million is from HVAC, $250,000 is abatement, and then $140,000 is the bathroom project. So when I look at that, the revenue we're projecting is at 15.9. We're being conservative. We're really crossing our fingers that, as you can see, last year we projected 15.4, and they came back at 18.4. Now, I don't expect to get anywhere near $18 million again, but if we could get to 16, I would be ecstatic, because to me, that is a quasi-balanced budget outside of the projects.
Right.
But I'm not going to hang my hat on that. So again, the projected deficit is 5.1. If you take out those projects that will not happen again, we're actually at about a $700,000 deficit. Last year was a $1.7 million deficit that you all approved, that we still managed to throw another part of that project and still came in at a $300,000 deficit overall last year. That's because we managed to get our approved expenditures from 17.1 to 18.7, and that's by adding $1.7 million in projects. So as you can see, we were under budget last year if you take out the $1.7 million project. So we really did a good job of pumping the brakes last year and doing what we had to do and getting things done. So let's take out that 4.5 if you want. So instead of 21 million, if we're looking more like 16.7. We're hoping to, again, go under budget there by watching our spending. Budgets are always projected. I don't know the exact revenue we're going to get. Nobody does in the state. We also don't know our exact expenditures. As Janet just said, we have no projects this year that we're foreseeing, but things happen, things break. So I can't tell you that, no, our plumbing budget is going to be under $100,000. For all I know, everything could go loose, but we're at right now, we're in a little bit better spot than we were last year in terms of budgeting. We've kind of pulled back those reins. The places we've really cut back this year, outside the projects again, buildings and ground, I've cut $140,000 out of that. Purchase services, I've cut $200,000. A bulk of the purchase services is the HVAC maintenance, because we don't require $250,000 this year of people coming on fixing boilers that are old, boilers that are broken. So we still have a contract in there, because this building does have boilers in it still, so we still have somebody on contract to do that as well. But that's minimal compared to what we have spent in the past. And then when I say odds and ends, where we can cut things, where we don't need things. The teachers were really good this past summer when we said, hey, if you don't need it, don't buy it. Because there's always been that philosophy, and it's not just in this school, it's in a lot of places. If you tell me my budget's this and I don't spend every dime of that, next year you're going to take it away from me. And I'm telling you right now, that is not a philosophy that I follow. If I give you a budget of $5,000 and you spend $4,500, your budget next year isn't $4,500, your budget next year is $5,000. Because if that's what you believe you need to succeed, if you're under it, congratulations, I'm happy for you. What I don't do is, well, you say 500, it's 500 more next year. I don't do that. So that's kind of ways we found to help us kind of cut some money here and there. So the teachers have been great about those kind of things. So all in, if you looked at the June 30th accounts, we were at 13.3 million. That was this past year. So I projected next year at the exact same time, you should be at about 8.2 million, which is a little more than I projected when I did this a year and a half ago. So that's, that's good. If you go back to 2019, when Brad had his superintendent steering committees, one of them was a finance committee, and the one thing, there's a couple things that came out of there, which we will talk about in the future, not today, but one of the things that did come out of that steering committee is that the board would like to have 2 or more years of cash on hand from state and federal funds. Well, your state and federal funds last year was 3.1, in a normal year is around $3.1 million. So if you double that, 6.2 is the goal for the board, and if, even at 8.2, you're still a little bit healthy. And so, as I'm supposed to do, I'm not freaking out. I'm not worried. I'm obviously worried that there's a deficit, but it's coming together. It's not something that you can do overnight. I refuse to go out there and cut people, but there are places where we're looking at obviously start saving money.
The rubber roofs that we approved are for next
Next year, I did ask
Next
that.
fiscal year.
As long as, well, here's the answer to that, Larry. If they do it over the summer, but
we
it's when
pay
they
for
bill
it.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
If we had them do it in April and they finish it, it would be on this budget because it would then be within this fiscal year.
Okay.
But in general, we'll probably have them do it as a summer project,
All right.
get it on next year's.
And the abatement
Yeah.
should be finished.
I'm sorry?
The abatement, asbestos.
Yes, there-
Should
yep.
be,
Will be
there is no more.
We are clear of, now, we are clear of everything that's visible.
Yeah.
As Jerry said, walking around, he goes, you never know what's in the walls, but, matter of fact, one of the change orders we did was the last visible asbestos that was in the office, the PE offices in the elementary. So that's the last place they had asbestos, and we said, can you provide us a change order? Because it wasn't a central location, but it was actually the bends of all the insulation standard, but then the bends are all asbestos bends.
Oh.
So they removed those.
Okay.
And we're still waiting for our final invoice from Ideal on that one. The bathrooms are done, so we should be, like I said, we'll pay that next month.
All right, now I know we talked about the, like the AP classes, removing the reimbursement.
Yep.
I know it's the little things, but the little things add up to big money. Are we looking at anything else that we may be mixing? All that I know is that at that end, the AP reimbursement.
The AP and the Prairie Student will be talking about, I brought up to you guys, not in the last meeting, but the meeting before. Other than that, the other side of that, I'm still gathering data from other school districts. It's really going on the other side of it is fees. Beecher in general is actually, some areas are comparable to area schools, and some areas we are super low, and some areas we don't spend anything.
So the yearly fees,
So that would probably be
registration
the-
fees.
Correct, that'd probably be the other thing we would adjust. Again, not shooting things into the water, like, blowing it up and everything, but, if you add a $50 technology fee, of whether it's per student or, cap it at some level for families, that's a substantial amount that would be able to help us out. It's not gonna balance your budget, there's still cuts coming, but, there are other things that we can do to kind of do. I noted in there, we haven't risen, as far as I know, athletic fees haven't gone up in forever. And the fact that it's just $40, unless you're a golfer, it's $60, and Peatone it's $100 per kid, no cap, per sport. And right now, I think we're $40 per sport, per child, with a cap, family cap of $100. And so we're capping a family at $100, and Peatone's saying, Now, again, I don't want to become Peatone, don't get me wrong, Steve Stein does a great job, but, you know, they're the best comp I can give you, because they're a little bit bigger than us, but same kind of, you know, school district, same kind of students, they're a little bit bigger than us, but, you know, I'm not looking at Crete-Monee, I'm not looking at, you know, the big schools, but, I would say, you know, I'm not looking at St. Anne, maybe Grant Park's a little closer to our size, or smaller than us. So I'll be bringing that to you guys at some point in time in the near future.
And what about the AP and Perry State fees?
So that's what she just asked about. I mean, I've provided you guys the information. It is in the handbook, it's in the high school handbook, so anything like that, it would require board approval to take care of and remove. Where I stand on it, and I understand some of the emails I've gotten in terms of this was a commitment 3 years ago when we did it. It's true. I mean, it was a commitment that, you know, if you do this, we will help you out. But at the same time, that's when we were financially safe. We're not taking the class away. The class is still there. It's just, instead of saying, take the class, we'll pay you to take the class.
I believe the commitment was dual credit, because if memory serves me correctly, I think Prairie State is still giving us a 10% discount.
Correct. And a part of the flyer that we did come up with originally, the plan was to do a 50% reimbursement per class. But again, one of the reasons that when Brad and I created that, we wanted to do that is because when I tell you, hey, I'm going to ask you to spend $1,000 to commit to something, it's really hard to get that commitment. But if we have some kind of buy-in from the district, it's now established. Your children have had credit in there, Ron's children have credit. Every student that we've talked to, every family we've talked to, those credits have transferred. So the savings,
In the long run, it's saving.
Yeah, you're saving a
it's saving,
full
you're
year.
saving a boatload of money. I mean, I'm saving,
in some cases, $12,000.
My grandson is graduating after 2 years at the U of M and starting med school this fall because he had those.
Yeah. And
And that's a ton of money. at
And I
U of M.
refuse to get, and again, I shouldn't ever say refuse. That is a great program, and I have every intention of working with Mike and working with Steve to continue that program. I strongly believe that it's a great program. But again, if you're asking me as superintendent, that's
Chunk of
nearly
money.
$30,000 on 20 kids. And they're great kids, they're great families, but if you're looking at,
Well, even when I was in school, but they didn't reimburse, but it was still a privilege to be able to get out of school and go.
Yeah.
Or get, that alone was, I mean, I started my junior, senior year, and I had 2 years done. Now my family had to pay, and it was community college prices, so it wasn't that bad, but still,
Yeah, like-
just having the opportunity to leave school or to do it within school is enormous, to be able to get
my
it.
son is 6 credit hours short of freshman year completed
Right.
at a big savings
Oh, yeah.
for what we have invested. I don't even want to say spent, it's what us parents invested. The bonus, we got 50%. But again, that's not the reason why
in a
we
reference,
do it.
But
That
I
is
wonder
a-
if the parents would be willing to at least put in half and incentivize it. I mean, it's a big savings in the end for them.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we did it.
Right.
now, I would also say, the same way that, when Ms. Bell asked about the technology fee, and I said, it's so close to registration, it's tough to do it now. We're starting school on Friday. And so to
A little late now.
pull the break. Maybe it's something you talk about at semester or even next year.
Right.
I think that's a good place to start. The AP, that's $94. I know it's a drop in the bucket, but
Again, it adds up.
it adds up.
Well, those are fees, aren't they? Aren't there AP fees?
So those are part of
It's part of
Yeah, that's
registration. You
what-
pay for the AP test up
And then you get
front,
reimbursed.
and
And
then
you get reimbursed
Oh.
if you get
pass
credit.
with, if the
Well,
student
you
gets
don't
a.
have to pass.
No,
You gotta
as of
get
right
through.
now.
You have to get new. You can can get a 2 and get 25% of your reimbursement.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's 100, 75, 50, 25.
Oh,
If I'm not mistaken, a 2 does get 25% reimbursement, which is not a passing grade. I agree.
yeah, yeah.
It's same with the Prairie State thing. I would strongly urge, if you don't remove it, then put a little bit stricter stipulation, B or C, A or B.
Yeah,
You throw it for an A.
Yeah,
You know, if you get an A, you get 50%. It's,
yeah.
it's.
And again, I think out of this is our 4th year going into this, 3rd year going into this, I think total, there's been maybe 5 total grades less than an A.
Oh.
Prairie State understands they're good students, the kids are good students. So
for
it's-
them to go, they're good students, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, so just to be 100% clear, that we're not changing about all these programs that we're talking about. It is not, we're not changing the educational benefit, only the financial benefit. So we're not taking any educational benefit away from our students. It's just that financial one that we're gonna have to be mindful of.
Correct.
So I just
Yeah.
make that clear as pie.
Nothing's being
Yep.
taken away educational-wise.
Exactly.
We're still providing that opportunity.
Yes.
And it's
And it's still coming, and it's still coming at a discount.
And it's still a benefit, just not,
Absolutely.
unfortunately, the financial one that we were able to provide in a different financial situation. Thank you.
Are there any projections from the county clerk as to real estate taxes? I know we had the quadrennial reassessment, I think, last year.
So I have not gotten anything yet. When we do the levy, when she provides me the EAV at that time, I'll know a little bit more. That won't come out until late September. She'll give me the township numbers and everything. Yeah. And I don't foresee a EAV going down. I mean, the way things have been running, it hopefully should go up.
I
But
was
again,
gonna say,
just
should
a
go up.
reminder, we're a tax cap district, so your EAV can go up 1,000%. The most you can ever ask for is 5% on top of your current revenue. And little birdies have told me that since you're, excuse me, since inflation's well over 8%, your CPI is actually going to be over 5%. However, being a tax cap district, you will be able to get a 5% on your CPI. So the board can get up to 5% if about 4 or 7 of you guys agree to those things in December. Sorry.
I didn't do it.
But again, I mean, all these projections, this is obviously the levy we did last year, going to the budget this year, going to be collected throughout this year, so. We always go out a year, it's always a year in advance. And we will do another amended budget. Marla hated the amended budget, but she was glad we did one.
Made the auditors happy. That's for sure.
And the auditors were, once again, very happy with Beecher. They haven't given us anything final yet, but I'm sure John will be at one of our upcoming board meetings. Even the single audit, which you have to do for the ESSER money, they were very impressed with how Kara and Marla had the files together. If you've ever seen the movie Dodgeball, at the very beginning where he opens up the
Yep.
closet and she
Falls
goes,
out.
yeah, she goes, there are schools, that's kind of what it's like, and she goes, not here.
There it is.
Yep. Yeah, but they were
Do some digging.
in our office less than a day.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Do you have anything for the other?
Well, I thought all the other was the Prairie State.
Okay, all right, I'll take that
But
as
no,
well.
we're gonna put it in the news, that's what Marla was checking out. We'll submit it to the newspaper tomorrow. It'll probably be in, or this week, we'll get it in the newspaper next week, hopefully Wednesday, which is the 24th of August. So 30 days out from that is September 24th.
Around.
So that last week, we'll have to have a special board meeting on the 26th or 27th, because we have to have this approved and submitted by the 30th.
Okay.
So,
All right.
So can we have some options to change how we are doing the finances of Prairie State and the AP courses for the next board meeting? Because I don't want, we keep talking about it and then it's gonna get to where our excuse is gonna be, it's too late to tell parents to make a decision. So if this is something, at least have options where we discuss and vote and get it done right off the bat so that everyone knows ahead of time as soon as possible. Because like you said, this will be the third month we've talked about it, but we haven't really done anything. So maybe have the options. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. If we're not and we vote to wait until next year, that's fine. Like, let's make a decision.
So if you're comfortable, I'll provide you three options. Option A is starting semester 2 of this year. Option B being starting school year 23-24. And option C is you don't touch it and you find money, you figure it out without touching that program. And then we'll have a second one for AP fees as well.
Okay.
AP reimbursement. So we'll do a Prairie State reimbursement, we'll do an AP reimbursement. And then 7 of you guys can discuss. And then your motion will simply be, I move for option A, and then you read that option. If it gets approved, that's what we do.
Okay.
I will not, but I will not have the technology fee and the registration.
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to, you
No,
know,
we
I don't
don't.
want to get to where we talk about it, and then all of a
I
sudden
get
it's November, and we're trying to scramble, and then everyone's like, they're not giving parents, no, you know, the same kind of issue that I had last month. I don't want to pull the rug out one for parents
The
a month ahead
proverbial
of time.
kicking the can down the road.
So you
Yeah.
wanted it on the.
I would like it
agenda?
on the next month's agenda.
Yep.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
We'll have two
And then we all
separate-
can discuss.
Yep.
Okay. And if you can also provide numbers, what we would be saving out of the
Yeah.
19 children that are,
With a hypothetical passing.
yes, with a hypothetical passing grade.
AP is a little more difficult, but I can tell you what we spent,
Right.
what we reimbursed last year.
Sure.
We had a very successful AP season last year. And I'm fairly certain it had nothing to do with reimbursements.
No,
Pretty sure it
not.
was just good kids and
Nope.
great teachers. Or
Nope.
great kids and good teachers, whatever combination you want to do.
Okay. All right. Again, no one's here for public comment?
Paul? All right.
Can I comment, Paul? All right, so if we have nothing else, then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jeff.
Of course. It's looking good.
It's because I shaved them.